Hey Jason, how you going?
I'm not too bad, thanks, Maddie. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I know that I just saw you on Friday for GANs, but I was having a little ponder over the weekend about a meeting that I had last week. It's one of our industry committee meetings made up of delegates from across the industry. They've sort of been campaigning to improve their wages and working conditions in WA, but they're looking at expanding interstate. And it made me think of you because I know that you've got some good digital marketing tools that could benefit them in that endeavor. But anyway, that thought prompted me to sort of think we have only really spoken within the confines of GANs and we spend a lot of time together, but I don't know a whole lot about it.
Right. It's crazy, isn't it? We go through all these sessions, we have all these moments, but yeah, we haven't had a long conversation or a phone call. Yeah.
How did you find yourself in the GANs space?
I've got roped in by Phil. Like Phil said, we're calling for EOIs. Jason, would you like to put in EOIs because you're doing work with the Fabians, and I think this might really help build your organizing capacity. And it's very hard to turn down Phil, so I explored it more and put in my EOI.
What work do you do with Fabians?
I'm on the branch committee up in Queensland, and in fact it was actually after we did our initial course together, it prompted me to put up my hand and actually run for election as the Queensland convener.
Were you successful?
Yeah, well, I think, and Annie's on this call, Annie knows I was probably the one person who didn't step backwards at the time of calling for volunteers. Yes, I was successful.
So tell me about Fabians. What was it about Fabians that called you to them?
Yeah, I came across Fabians, like I think on a website thing, and it prompted something in the back of my mind. I looked into it, and it's really a think tank. It comes up with all these great ideas that has inspired left-leaning governments and the like. And I was like, that aligns with the sort of work that I'd like to get involved with. And it complemented my work that I was already doing with the Labor Party in terms of policy development stuff, which is probably a bit geeky, but I was like, ooh, all right, maybe there's something in that. And I joined up and here I am.
Because left-leaning, that's an umbrella term. What's the particular bit of the left that you like?
What I love with the Fabians is, unlike a branch motion or a policy that really takes a set position and you back it or you don't, Fabians explores all the ideas for a progressive, better world. And for me, that kind of, the more voices you can bring to that, the more points of connection you have, the more we can build the movement.
Yeah, agreed. I think my introduction to left politics, I was pretty young, but it was when my dad was made redundant and I found out that my parents had been squirreling away Centrelink payments, and so I didn't know that our situation was that dire until I found the papers kind of tucked away, and that was my introduction to the concept of people who are on the dole, this phrase that we hear often. They're not statistics, they're people, and I was now one of those people. I hear that Fabians do a lot of that's sort of included under the think tank banner. Is that right? Was that a similar?
Yeah, absolutely. Pursuing equality and social justice. And no, I hear you on that. Had moments like that in my childhood as well. It's like, but thankfully all is good for me personally. But so yeah, I would definitely like to address that inequality gap that we're seeing. It's only growing.
Yeah, at a troubling rate. I agree. I know that there's no shortage of information out there about how we can address these issues. I've got a group at the moment that I mentioned earlier, this group of lab workers and lab leaders, and they're kind of at a spot in this supply chain that is often overlooked. The work that they do is absolutely essential for the mining industry. They receive the samples, they test them, they send the results back. And so without them, the whole mining industry is going in blind. So it's a huge, enormous industry, and these workers are just getting paid like barely above the minimum wage. And I think anyone with any kind of shred of leftist thinking and histories like ours and values like ours knows that that's not right. And so these workers have been organising to improve their working conditions across the whole industry. But
is it a multi-employer thing that you're pursuing there, Maddie?
That's the dream, but at the moment they're currently on a lot of national agreements, and so we need buy-in from the labs interstate. It can't just be a WA endeavour.
Right.
So we've been brainstorming ways to kind of reach out to them and get them active, and it did make me think of, there's lots of like digital marketing things out there, but I wanted to reach out to you in particular because I know that these are values that you share, and it's and also is something that might give a little bit of a boots on the ground feel to the Fabian's think tank world that you are in.
Well, Fabians don't really take policy positions, but I'm very interested, Maddie, in terms of it'd be good to get involved with something like and a group that's organising a multi-employer thing, because that really does need to be tested and driven home.
Well, their next meeting is they meet every 6 weeks, and they met last week, so in about 5 weeks' time. So maybe in a month, if we catch up and sort of brainstorm what digital options we can present to them, and we can chat about what you can get out of it as well, if that's beneficial. Would that be all right?
Yeah, I'd be keen. Like anytime after like the 25th of March would be great.
Perfect. We'll tee something up.